Excuse me. Good morning. Welcome to today's video. My name is Emmy and I want to spend my day with you. I just figured, I've been posting either a few reading vlogs or just talking about books. None of you probably know me outside of that, even though there's really not much to know besides, yeah, I do like reading and I do have a full-time job and I work fully remote from home. I'm just gonna take you along for the ride and hopefully it's a good one. I really have no agenda today. So honestly, this is probably about as real as it gets. If it's not like super hectic, it's very, a very blessed, calm day. Ooh. I would make breakfast just to like have a little bit more content in there, but most days I don't really eat breakfast. So I'm just gonna get to work now. We made it to lunch. I'm going to make what I make literally every single time I have lunch. I have been having this maybe like for the last 4 months. If I like something, I'm sticking to it. For today's lunch, I will be having killer bread with cottage cheese. This one is a new brand of cottage cheese for me that I'm not really loving. And then I add a little bit of everything seasoning on it, everyday seasoning from Trader Joe's, put arugula on top and enjoy my meal. Welcome to my favorite corner in the kitchen. So I have my lunch here. I understand that this might not look as appetizing to a lot of you, but it's so good to me, except for this cottage cheese. I usually use Nancy's, but I'm 5'2", I couldn't reach the top shelf of that. And this was the brand that I could reach. This killer bread, it's so good. It's 70 calories each slice, and there's sesame seeds for the one that I got, which is the thin sliced one, and it just adds another layer of flavor that's so good, mixing it in with the neutral taste of cottage cheese. For this brand, it's like a very, very neutral taste. I'm not really bothered by the texture of cottage cheese. Like, to me, I just think of it as cream cheese in my head, and then the flavor of the arugula, the herb on top of that, it's so good to me. It's got that good crunch. Typically, I would be reading during my lunch break. I try to read at any point that I can, like if I have downtime, for example, during lunch. And then sometimes, depending on what the day is like, maybe I could read a little bit more throughout the day. But because this isn't a reading vlog, maybe I shouldn't share the reading part of my day, even though that is truly what I would have been doing right now. I wanted to share with you what I read in August. I didn't really read that many books in August, but I did read some really good books, so I still wanted to share them with you. So the first book that I read is Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. Oh my God, like I just love this book so much. I want to tell everyone about this book. That's how I feel about it. You know, when a book is so good, you're just like, I have to tell all of my friends who are interested in picking up a book, they have to read it. So this book is a second chance romance book, and we are following a couple named Josiah and Yasmin. It feels like it was so long ago, but yeah, Josiah and Yasmin. The book starts out with the prologue with them in college or grad school or something like that. And Josiah proposes to Yasmin while they were still in school. They were madly in love in the prologue. And then in the first chapter, they are divorced with 2 kids. So this is a second chance romance that follows, just them healing from their divorce, them healing from a lot of the things that they went through in life when they were together. And read your trigger warnings on this book because there are some sensitive topics that they go over, and that's part of the reason why I love the book so much, because it's very real. You know, it's very likely that when you're married, you're gonna have different versions of yourself, and you're gonna have all of these hardships that you're gonna deal with in life, and it really changes your outlook. It really changes you as a person, especially when you are a mom and you are going through these things. So I just really love it. I love it when there's therapists and books, because I feel like I'm kind of getting that reflection or that session with the therapist. So it's a really, really good book. I highly recommend it. I gave it 5 stars. The next book that I read was Happy Place by Emily Henry. I really enjoyed reading this book. I didn't read it when it came out, you know, like everybody else did, but I know so many people loved it. Yeah, I did my best to not listen in on everyone's reviews on this, because I really kind of wanted to go into this book with, okay, I think the plane is gone. I really wanted to go into this book blind, just so I could have, like, you know, a refreshed reading perspective. And we are following a group of friends, but really this book is centered around 2 people, which are Harriet and Wynn, and they are a couple within this friend group. And this friend group, they do yearly vacations in one of the friends' lake house, summer house in Maine. And this is considered their happy place. This is where a lot of their memories are. This story is around how these friendships were created, what it means to them. It's kind of like a found family trope. And with this particular couple, Harriet and Wynn, they were actually engaged, but they called off the engagement, and none of the friends know that, because, you know, they didn't want to change up the dynamic of this friend group. They still go on this yearly vacation in Maine, and none of their friends know that they've already broken up. The story is just about, you know, life's ever-changing dynamics, how your life can come together or come apart with that one simple change. And you'll find on this channel that every time that there's a second chance romance, like Before I Let Go and Happy Place, like those are the type of books that really get me going, because it just touches a really personal and sensitive part of my heart. It's also a part of mine and my fiance's story. It's a second chance romance. I just think that the story is so realistic and relatable, because as you get older, and especially if you met majority of your friends in college, you know, you go your separate ways. People move back home. People find their careers. People lose their careers. It is very applicable to what life really is, and I think that that's really why I enjoyed it a lot. The next book is Sugar Daddies by Jade West. I gave this book a review on my dark romance books that I've read so far, and I'll post that here. Yeah, you can go ahead and watch that video, because this book, it is very dark, but there's actually a plot to the story, which I appreciated. It's not just like full on, you know, I'm sorry. There's actually a plot to the story, which is good. I would say that this book is insta-lovey, but I gave this book 4 stars. I don't think I mentioned what I rated Emily Henry's Happy Place. That one I gave 5 stars. But going back to Sugar Daddies by Jade West, yeah, read it. Read it. If you're into dark romance, I would recommend the book. What I wouldn't recommend is Denim Vipers by K.A. Knight, because while the spice is there, the darkness is there, like full on. Totally read your trigger warnings for that book. The plot, the storyline, like I would have been happy if there was no plot. Like that's how I felt about this book. If the book was just like darkness and just like a bunch of like spicy scenes, I think that would have been much better off than them trying to like create this ridiculous plot in the book. So I gave that book 3 stars. I think, honestly, like now that I'm talking about it with so much passion, I would give it like 2.5, but I did rate it 3 stars on my Goodreads. And then lastly, I read Red Rising by Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan? Who is that? I read Red Rising by Pierce Brown, and I read this because Haley Pham rated this book 6 stars, and I gave this book, I think, a 4 or 4.5 star rating on my Goodreads. I really enjoyed the book. This is my first science fiction novel that I've ever read, and it kept me engaged, and I think it's just like the timing of when I read the book. I was just like really busy with work, and then I also traveled to Cabo during that time, and it's kind of like it's a substantial book. There's a lot of information in it. Yeah, that was just like, maybe I wasn't in the right headspace to read it, because I consider myself as a mood reader, and maybe I just wasn't like fully immersed in the mood to read science fiction, so that's probably what affected my rating. But otherwise, I would still recommend it, because if this is like where that story is going, I think I would read the second book, because I still really enjoyed it. And I think that's pretty much it. Those are all the books that I read in the month of August. I didn't really read much. Like I said, August was kind of like a tough month for me when it came to work. So I was like really zeroed in on just work, work, work. So back to work I go. Lunch is over. And then that's when we created a different offer for me. Of course, we'll talk soon. Enjoy the rest of your day. I had a tickle in my throat during that phone call. If you couldn't tell, I'm going to the gym. Now, the gym is really where I feel like I put a little bit more effort in getting ready, because people in person actually see me when I get ready in the morning, and you know, I'm just pulling out my office chair and sitting my ass down on the laptop. I really don't feel the need to get ready as much, but I want to feel good at the gym. And when you do focus on yourself and, you know, making yourself feel better, even if that's just 1% better, and that may be from eating better, working out, waking up a little bit earlier, maybe hanging out with more friends. If there's a way for you to make yourself feel 1% better, do it. And for me, that's working out. For me, that's looking good and putting a little bit more effort when I am getting ready. So I'm combining that. I enjoy working out. I exercise nearly every day, even though I don't look it. It makes me feel better about myself. And whether if it's like a mental thing, a physical thing, you know, do what's best for you, and you know what's best for you. It's a little cloudy out right now. There's really no need to do this. Some people might see it that way, but you should always be protecting your skin, even if it appears like there isn't any protection needed. And yeah, I have makeup on and I do this. This is really the part that makes you look more buff. Then I just typically do a really quick blush touch up using the same blush that I used this morning. Whatever the sunscreen smudged, just that area. Lip oil from Wet n Wild. This stuff is really cute. My eyebrows okay? Honestly, I feel like my eyebrows are never okay at this point. Hopefully this video isn't like too straightforward, too boring, but really this is what a typical day would look like for me. Like, I'm not even joking. I wake up, I pee. I didn't show you that. I pee, I brush my teeth, I put on makeup, I make the bed, get coffee, I go to work. And then I work all day until lunchtime. And then maybe I read, and then I work again, and then maybe I'll read a little bit more, and then I go to the gym, and that's where I'm about to take you. That's pretty much it. Also, I'm really not sure how much content I can get at the gym. I am very shy when it comes to filming myself workout. It is not something that I'm here for. I'm not a fitness influencer. I'm just doing my best. So I don't know if I'm going to be filming my exercises. I'll try. Bye.